to A Christmas Pop-Up. So I am joined by Emma here, and I'm just going to pass it straight over to Emma, and Emma's going to tell us everything. So yeah,
to you. Thanks, Emily. So hello everybody. Rachel, thank you so much for organising this. It's incredible. So just fair play to what you've done. So my name is Emma Jane, and I am the girl who tells stories about Johnny Magory. So not Marjorie.
So we won't say that. We won't mention that bit.
You're grand. Well, basically, the Johnny Magory story here, anyway, it's a rhyme, and it's over 300 years old as far as we can trace it so far in Ireland. And it is basically, will I tell you a story about Johnny Magory? Will I begin it? That's all that's in it. So when I was small and growing up, my dad, well, Mammy used to read us a book every night going to bed, but Daddy would come in and tell my sisters and my brother and myself a story about Johnny Magory. So good old-fashioned storytelling, basically, but we nearly looked forward to his stories more than the books when we were going to bed, because he used to basically make up more than, I suppose, the original rhyme. And he had this character, Johnny Magory, who we all fully believed was real, and he was permanently outside having adventures and climbing trees and meeting badgers and red squirrels and corncrakes and the likes. And basically we just couldn't wait to go to bed until we got our Johnny Magory story. So basically then I had my daughter Lily when I was very young. I was 18 when I had her, and I wrote down some stories then basically based on what Daddy had told us, and then did nothing. So I left them in a box for the goods of 12 years, and then coming up to my 30th, Mom said, would you not do something with those stories that you've written? So was working full-time in Board Namona actually at the time here in HR, and decided to self-publish, and purely just for my family and friends, thinking nobody else knew the story by Johnny Magory. And then this is the first book that I ever got out, and it's Johnny Magory in the Magical Wild. So it's 4 years old now, actually, which is mad. But basically, when I did this, then the girls in the office started saying, no, we know the story about Johnny Magory. Granny used to say it, Granddad used to say it, so on and so forth, and started asking me could they buy copies, which actually used to be like, no, not for sale. But anyways, I basically was bitten by the bug then, so I went on and wrote another one, and basically decided then to kind of really go at it. So over the next 3 years, I was still working in the corporate world, so moved from Board Namona into the Central Bank, and then into lastly then Kerry Group, and ultimately left Kerry Group last year to become a full-time Johnny Magoryer. So we now have 5 full books, I suppose, in the story. Mm-hmm. And each of them then is to try and do what Daddy did for us, basically. So we just couldn't wait to get outside and go exploring, and then to learn all about these things that he was after dropping into the story, and we used to pester him to find out more. So they're literally Irish heritage and wildlife in one roundup little way, if you want to put it anyway like that. Like so the very first book, anyway, as I said, is The Magical Wild. So the whole concept of this book, and all of them actually, they're all written in rhyme, and they all have like big, beautiful illustrations that I can take no credit for. So I have a lady, Kim Shaw, who has illustrated 4 of the stories so far, and then John Conroy, actually, who everybody knows, he illustrated my book last year for me. But to go through them all, I suppose, individually, we have a few minutes. So this is the first one, as I said. So the whole concept is he's a little boy who's a few years old. He's usually good, but he's sometimes bold. And then in each one, then he goes on a little adventure outside. So it's very, I suppose, Irish in the words and the terminology. So only because purely I didn't think Anton would ever go with this. So I had the freedom to put in, yeah, that's grand, Mammy, and thanks for the crack, and all of those kind of scenes into it. But in this one, she's in the house, she kicks him outside for the day, and he goes down a magic rabbit hole and goes into the magical wild. So he basically meets his friend the badger then, and the badger invites him to a party in the forest. So he has a great crack in the forest, and they're all dancing and singing, and he meets everybody there, from corncrakes to red squirrels to hedgehogs and swans, etc. And then basically realises then when his belly starts rumbling, he's after missing lunch, and his ma told him he had to be home for lunch. So he goes home, he gets into a bit of trouble, sent to his room, but nothing major, obviously. And then it all accumulates then with him going to bed happy, and he's had his story read, basically. So that's the first book. So then the next one then is the game of rounders. So yes, you have her. I was going to say, ever heard of Rounders? So yeah, Rounders is a GA game for anybody that hasn't heard of Rounders. And you're actually looking at a Leinster champion from 1998. I'll just put it out there. This story, I suppose, isn't just about Rounders. It's also about, and I should have had my own prop here with me. It's also about the Irish bogs and our heritage around foot and turf. So basically, he goes to the bog. He's meant to be helping his parents put the turf, but he runs off after Finn the hare, and he has a game of Rounders, and then gets in trouble basically for not doing his work. But in this story, for instance, like we have the likes of Brennan's Bread and Denny and Dairy Gold, and there's Tato in the back of it, and they're written as well. So as I said, Irish. So then the next one is the Wild Water Race, and this is all about our Irish canals. I suppose the history of our canals and why we have our canals, and the wildlife as well then that we find around the canals and the rivers. So it's not just canals, I suppose. So we have everything in it from his granddad Paddy, who is actually my granddad, who came illustrated into the book. His sister Lily May then comes along in this book as well, and that's my daughter Lily actually that came drew in. But it just explains that like our canals were basically our water roads and why we had them for carrying cargo across the country. But in this then he wanders off and has a water race with his friend Dusty, the old barge horse, and gets into a bit of trouble for fighting the heart out of his mother, but anyway, it's just good. This book here then is what I got last year, and this is illustrated by the infamous Don Conroy at this stage. So Don, by pure chance, I sent off one of those stupid emails going, "Oh, I love you, would you do a book for me?" And he came back and he said he'd love to. So then obviously we had to put an owl into it immediately for anybody that knows Don Conroy. But it's called The Forest Flack Yule. And this book is just trying to educate kids on Irish music, basically, but it's also then set in our native forest. So it's all about our native trees and our native wildlife around the forest as well, and to encourage a bit of tree climbing. So this is a typical page within that book as well. We ramped up the Irish language as well in this book. So there's a good bit dotted through, but then we have our directory at the back then, basically for anybody that needs just a bit of help with the Irish. But actually, that's one thing to show actually in the back of each of the books. So the animals that are in it are there, but we have a free Irish wildlife directory then on johnnymagory.com where you can click on the fox or the chinook or on the brown owl and actually get proper facts for kids, and there's little videos there and everything about them as well. So then our last book is this one, and this is our new book, and I absolutely love this book. I wrote it during lockdown with my funniest friend, Sean Oakmore. So he's 12 years old. I've been lifelong friends with him now at this stage, but we said Sean has always basically pre-approved any of my new books. So I was going with one about Irish farm and heritage, and then lockdown happened, and I was like, "Oh no, write one with me." We both love Irish legends, so this is where Johnny Magory Joins the Irish Legends came out, and it is basically the ultimate staycation. So he goes all around Ireland in their camper van, and they meet everybody from Benegas to Jumbacool and so on and so forth. And then the pinnacle is at the Hill of Tara, basically. So that's our latest book. And then from that as well, then we're after making these gorgeous wooden puzzles then. So all of the products are totally made in Ireland. Everything is, even our books and all are printed here. But our puzzles, so we have this one, and then we have a wildlife puzzle as well. And there's Irish language and all the wildlife puzzles too. And then I know I'm just rabbiting on here now, but the nerves. And then another one of our products so is this. So it's one question a week for kids. So this is something that I've always done with my own children, like the one question a day, but I think one question a day is a bit too much. So the one question a week is basically you ask your child the same question each week over the course of 3 years, and then you document how much they changed and how much their answers changed and how much they're growing. And it's full then of activities as well to get kids outside exploring and all that kind of stuff too. So they're pretty much the story about Johnny Magory.
And what sort of age range? What are they aimed at?
So the books are they're suitable up to around the ages of 8. And then for the smaller ones, like as you've seen, they're all written in rhyme, and there's the big illustrations captured little ones, but there's free audio books as well. It's my sister's voice, not mine, with each of the books too. So that helps them, I suppose, reading along too.
Great. And with regards to someone wanted to order for Christmas, do you have a cut-off for ordering?
So with our Christmas, so we do all the fulfillment ourselves here from Ballinafa. So we'll be going up as far as we can go. I think the international orders is the 8th of December, is it the cut-off? I should know that. but with the rest of them, we use Fastway basically. So we do them 3 times a week at the minute. So 10 a.m. Monday, Wednesday and Friday. But we plan basically to do it every single day then kind of in the run up to Christmas. And I suppose your last day will be in or around, I'd say, the 17th or the 18th of December.
I just don't want people to all, when you order.
No, if you do, and this is the thing so like our most popular is our Explorer box. So this is basically a box and it's filled with all of our books. But the whole idea of the box is that children use it then as a keepsake and they get their treasures from nature in it. So with these, we're nearly sold out. I think there's only about 25 or 26 of them left here now at the minute. And the same with our puzzles. So our puzzles have been flying. There's a handful left. So if you do want to order, I would get it in sooner rather than later. And it all goes through tinymagory.com.
So I've got the website is running along the bottom there. So basically, easy enough to order through the website.
Yep, absolutely, yeah.
And just to say also, obviously, if anyone does want to follow Emma on social media, they do have a page on the event website, which links through to the website and the social media as well. So people can easily find them on the event website.
Yeah. And we do loads of free read-alongs and all that kind of stuff. We try to do one once a week. So hopefully you can join us and get a free bedtime story.
Are they scheduled in sort of?
I'd like to say that we're that organised or not. We aim for one once a week. And I put a post out a few days in advance.
So do people need to join a Facebook group or page to sort of find out?
Join the Facebook pages basically, and then our Instagram page as well, Johnny Magory World. That's kind of where we go with everything. But Instagram and Facebook is where we stream.
Okay, and I'm just going to ask you this one question because I asked Lorna, so I'll ask you. What is the strangest Christmas present that you've ever received?
Oh my word!
You can talk about.
I can't think of a single Christmas present now. Actually, I'm like, I haven't a clue. What did Lorna say?
She couldn't even think of anything either. So I was like, oh, okay.
You should have given us a heads up on that one.
Throw it in there, I mean, I did say, and I won't say sort of, as I mentioned to Lorna, that friends of mine received saucepans one year from their partners. 2 friends received saucepans that year from their partners.
Okay, well, I would personally be delighted with saucepans. I love cooking.
No, I don't know where the kitchen is, but never mind. But anyway, lovely chatting to you this afternoon. Gonna wrap it up then.
If there's one more thing I could mention, Rachel, sorry, I didn't, and I promise I'll be really quick. It's just so I actually do writing courses as well then for adults and then for children to write your own children's book, basically. So I will help people self-publish within 6 weeks and then become self-published authors, basically. So all the information can be found anyway on Johnny Magory, but that's through our Hedge schools. So I think for Christmas present, or if anyone wants to set a New Year's resolution to become a children's book author in January, they can do it in 6 weeks, and we're kicking off our course in January.
Yeah. People can sign up through your website as well, obviously.
Yeah, they'll find all the information there then, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, well, lovely chatting to you. So
thank you so much.
I don't know what that means. So that's great. So basically, thank you so much. So next up, I need to look at my list. So at 7 p.m, I'm going to be joined by Emma from Roger's Hot Nuts, which sounds intriguing. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and I'll be speaking to you all very soon. Bye.
Thanks a million. Bye. Bye-bye.